Hello, my name is Jonathan Solon. Welcome to the Nevins train. Today we profile Susan Jane Van Camp Nevins. And I have to say at the outset, I just wish I knew more about Susan Jane. What I do know is sad. She would lose three children in infancy and a son tragically at the age of 22. She would pass away at a young age of 48. And when she does, her husband, Michael Rice Nevins, would write a poem of sorrow in tribute to her. Who doesn't want to know more? Hop on board the Nevins train. Okay, let's dive into this. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at where Susan Jane falls in the family tree. Susan Jane Van Camp was born in 1833, and she would marry Michael Rice Nevins. And their fourth child would be Osro Newton Nevins, who would move out to Kansas with his wife, Martha Elizabeth Griffith. So let's take a look at Susan Jane's parents. Her father was James Van Camp, and her mother was Abigail Goebel. So James Van Camp was born in 1808, and Abigail Goebel was born in 1808, but I do not know when they were married. Now, this next bit is a good case study on genealogy research. I did find this snippet of a family history compiled by Vera Ellen Warnicki that states my great-grandfather, James Van Camp, was of Holland Dutch ancestry. He was born in May 15, 1808. When he was 31 years old, a load of wood upset on him and killed him. His wife Abigail remarried a man by the name of Cole. There seems to be no record of them than this. James Van Camp and Abigail Van Camp had at least one son. I don't know if there were others. Where there were others, they would have a daughter, and that would be Susan Jane Van Camp. So Susan Jane would be 6 years old when her father was crushed by a load of trees. So that would be a tragic start for Susan Jane. So Susan Jane would grow up in Park County, Indiana, which would be a thriving area of pioneers as they were making their way and building homesteads in the thick, dense forests. In 1851, she would have met and would marry Michael Rice Nevins. Now, I'm going to imagine that he was dashing, having already served in the Mexican War. They would marry and begin to have children. So let's take a look at the Susan Jane and Michael Rice family. Their first two children would die in infancy, Emma Jane and Evangeline, who was several months old. Eliada would survive to adulthood. Okoma, and still interested in understanding the origin of that name, Okkoma, would be born in 1860. Oops, I missed Osro, who would be the fourth child, and he would be born in 1857. Nancy Jane would be born in 1864. George would be another child that they lose in infancy. Manly Rice would be born in 1869, and he would be just 12 years old when he begins to see his mom take an illness. So before we go further, I would like to get a map in. They would be born and raised in Indiana, Susan Jane and Michael Rice. They would meet and marry in Indiana. Soon after their marriage, they would move to Iowa. It would be in Iowa that her husband would join the infantry unit and go off to serve in the Civil War. And she would remain in Iowa to raise the children. At the end of the Civil War, he would move back to Iowa, and not too much longer, they would move south in southern Missouri. quite coincidentally, again, so close to Joplin, Missouri, where the Solon family in the 1880s and 90s would also be raising their family. So part of the fun of genealogy, especially during this time period, is just to understand what life was like for your ancestors during this time in the 1800s. We actually get a snippet of the obituary of Susan Jane's son, O.J. Okama. So let's take another look at this account, because when she passed away at 48, she would have had her imprint on the family. Let's be clear. She had already spent a few years, raising the children while her husband was off fighting the Civil War. So she had her imprint. She had chores and assigned chores and tasks to ensure a well-running household. So not even a year after she passes away, we get this account of OJ's death by lightning in the barn. And the newspaper says, breakfast being ready, some member of the family went to the bedroom of the deceased to find that he had already risen to do his chores and that he had gone to the barn to check on the horses. And that's when the terrible lightning strike would strike him down. But this gives insight into Susan Jane's role as a mother in her family and creating habits of chores and support that would last after she would pass away. So Susan Jane Van Camp Nevins, I just wish we knew more about you. We'll close with her obituary submitted by her husband, Michael Rice, at the family residence, August 18 at 7:30. After a lingering illness of 6 weeks, Susan Jane, wife of Michael R. Nevins, aged 48, 6 months and 4 days. She bore her sickness without a murmur, was conscious to the last, and died without a struggle. And the final lines, I have just been with her and beheld her. The vital spark of life is slowly, slowly passing away. She must go, we will soon follow, for we must soon be called away. Susan Jane Van Camp Nevins, what a life well lived. Until next time on the Soul Train. See you then.
Away down yonder in the state of Arkansas, where my great-grandpa met my great-grandma. They drink apple cider and they get on a jag, and they dance all night to the salty dog rag. They play an old fiddle like you never heard before. They play the only tune that they ever did know. It's a ragtime ditty and the rhythm don't drag. Now here's the way you dance to the salty dog rag.